The American dream. What's happening to it? What happened to the American dream? For generations, Americans were told that if you worked hard, saved your money, bought a home, raised a family, and prepared for retirement, you could build a better life. But today, millions of people are asking a very different question. Does that dream still work? What happens when you work full-time but still struggle to afford a home? What happens when your income goes up, but groceries, insurance, utilities, healthcare, and housing seem to go up even faster? And what happens when you finally reach retirement, only to discover that the money you thought would be enough isn't? Maybe the American dream isn't completely dead. Maybe it's changing. And if the dream is changing, perhaps our financial strategy has to change with it. Today, we're going to talk about the American dream, what happened to it, and what it means for your financial future. Welcome back to Money Smart Basics. My name is Alfonso Brooks Bay, and on this channel, we talk about money, retirement, social security, financial planning, and the financial decisions that can affect your future. And today, I want to have a conversation that goes beyond dollars and cents. I want you to think about this question. When you were growing up, what did the American dream mean to you? Was it owning a home, having a good job, raising a family, putting your children through school, having money in the bank, or retiring without worrying about whether you could pay your bills? Keep your answer in mind, because by the end of this video, I want to ask you whether that version of the American dream still exists. What was the American dream? For many families, the traditional American dream wasn't about becoming a millionaire. It was about stability. You worked, you earned a decent living, you bought a home, you raised your family, you saved something for retirement, and hopefully, the next generation did a little better than you did. Think about a fictional couple I'll call Robert and Linda. They got married decades ago. Robert worked a steady job. Linda worked too, while they raised their family. They weren't wealthy. They didn't own 10 properties. They weren't stock market experts, but they bought a modest house, paid their bills, saved what they could, and slowly built a life. Their house became more valuable. Their mortgage balance went down. Their retirement savings grew. And eventually, Social Security became another part of their retirement picture. That was the formula many Americans believed in: work, save, own, retire. But here's the question. Would Robert and Linda be able to start that same journey today? Homeownership has become a bigger challenge for generations. Homeownership was one of the biggest symbols of the American dream. But today, getting through the front door can be difficult. It's not simply the price of the house. There may be the down payment, the mortgage payment, property taxes, homeowners insurance, repairs, utilities, and other expenses that come with owning property. Now imagine a younger version of Robert and Linda trying to buy their first home today. They may both have jobs. They may be doing many of the things previous generations told them to do, but the numbers may still not work. And that creates an important financial question. If homeownership becomes harder to reach, what happens to one of the primary ways American families have historically built wealth? Because a home has traditionally been more than a place to live. For many households, it became one of their largest assets. The paycheck doesn't always feel bigger. Here's another part of the problem. You can make more money today than you made years ago and still feel like you have less money. Why? Because the number on the paycheck isn't the only thing that matters. Purchasing power matters. Suppose someone gets a raise. That sounds great. But then their rent increases. Their car insurance increases. Their groceries cost more. Their electric bill increases. Healthcare costs more. And suddenly, that raise doesn't feel much like a raise anymore. Have you ever looked at your income and thought, I'm making more money, so why doesn't it feel like I'm getting ahead? That question is becoming part of the modern American dream. It's no longer simply, how much do I make? It's, how much of what I make can I actually keep? Debt became part of the dream. There's another major difference. Debt has become deeply connected to the modern American lifestyle. Mortgages, car loans, credit cards, student loans, buy now, pay later, personal loans. People can appear financially successful while carrying enormous monthly obligations, and that can create an illusion. The big house may look like wealth. The expensive vehicle may look like wealth. The vacations may look like wealth, but if most of the income is already committed to monthly payments, how financially free is that household? That's why I believe we need to separate two things: looking wealthy and being financially secure. They are not necessarily the same thing. And maybe the modern American dream should be less about displaying success and more about building financial independence. Retirement has changed too. Now let's talk about the part of the American dream that doesn't get enough attention: retirement. For many workers in previous generations, retirement might have included several pieces: Social Security, a company pension, personal savings, and perhaps a home that was paid off or close to being paid off. Today, that picture can look very different. Many workers don't have traditional pensions. That means more responsibility has shifted to the individual. You may have to build your own retirement savings. You may have to decide how much to invest. You may have to determine when to claim Social Security. You may have to think about healthcare expenses. And you may have to make your money last for 20 or 30 years, or possibly longer. So ask yourself, is retirement still part of your American dream? And if it is, are you financially preparing for the retirement you actually want? The middle class squeeze. This is where the story gets interesting. You can have a decent income and still feel squeezed. You're earning too much to think of yourself as struggling financially, but you're not earning enough to ignore rising costs. You may have a house, 2 cars, a retirement account, maybe some savings, but one major expense can change everything: a large home repair, a medical expense, a job loss, helping an aging parent, supporting an adult child. Suddenly, the household that looked financially comfortable feels financially vulnerable. That is why income alone doesn't tell us whether someone is financially secure. The better question may be, how much flexibility do you have? The dream may be changing. Maybe this is where we need to rethink the American dream. Perhaps the old dream emphasized ownership and possessions. The new dream may increasingly emphasize freedom and flexibility. Imagine 2 households. Household number 1 has the large home, luxury vehicles, expensive vacations, and everything looks successful from the outside. But nearly every dollar coming in already has somewhere to go. Household number 2 lives more modestly. Their home is smaller, their cars are older, but their debt is low. They have savings, they have investments, they have multiple sources of income, and if something happens, they have options. Which household is actually living the American dream? That's not an easy question, but it's an important one. Maybe the new American dream is about options. I think one word is becoming increasingly important: options. The option to retire, the option to work part-time instead of full-time, the option to handle an emergency without immediately reaching for a credit card, the option to help your family, the option to leave a job that no longer works for you, the option to live somewhere more affordable, and maybe even the option to create additional sources of income instead of depending entirely on one paycheck. That doesn't necessarily look as impressive on social media, but financially, it can be incredibly powerful. Because financial success isn't simply about how much money comes into your household. It's also about how much control you have over your life. The American dream is becoming personal. There's one more change we need to recognize. There may no longer be one American dream. For one person, the dream may still be owning a home. For another, it may be becoming debt-free. For someone approaching retirement, it may be having enough income to stop working full-time. For another person, it may be owning a small business. For someone else, it may simply be having enough savings to sleep peacefully at night. And that's why comparing your financial life with someone else's can be dangerous. Their dream doesn't have to be your dream. The real question is, what does financial success mean to you? Is the American dream dead? So, what happened to the American dream? I don't believe the answer is as simple as saying it's dead, but I do believe it's becoming more expensive, more complicated, and more dependent on individual financial decisions. The traditional formula of getting a job, buying a house, working for decades, and automatically expecting a comfortable retirement may not work the same way for everyone anymore. And maybe that's the biggest change. The American dream once seemed like a destination. Today, it may be more like a financial strategy. And perhaps the modern version isn't necessarily, I want more. Maybe it's, I want enough. Enough income, enough savings, enough time, enough security, enough flexibility, and enough control over your financial future that one unexpected event doesn't destroy everything you've spent decades building. So I'll leave you with 3 questions. What does the American dream mean to you today? Do you believe it's still achievable? And most importantly, has your definition of the American dream changed as you've gotten older? I'd really like to hear your answer. If this conversation made you think differently about money, retirement, or the American dream, give this video a like and subscribe to Money Smart Basics. And I especially want you to leave a comment below. Complete this sentence. The American dream to me is... I'm interested in seeing how different generations answer that question, because your answer at 25 may be completely different from your answer at 45, 65, or 75. And that's something we need to talk about more. Remember, financial success isn't always about having the biggest house, the newest car, or the highest income. Sometimes it's simply about having choices, security, and peace of mind. Thank you for watching Money Smart Basics. I'm Alfonso Brooks Bay. I'll see you in the next video. The information provided in this content is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, legal, or tax advice. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, or legal counsel before making any financial decisions. The creator of this content is not responsible for any actions taken based on the information provided. Investments and financial decisions carry risk, and past performance does not guarantee future results.